Chainsaw Man is nothing new if you're into the world of anime, and more specifically, manga. It's surprisingly deep, despite the main character having a chainsaw coming out of his head. It's a story about many things, but first and foremost, it's about 3 broken individuals, all living together in a world under the constant threat of mass killing. They watch their friends die around them, lose limbs, and go through traumatizing situations. But throughout it, they always have each other. So, who are those 3? Well, first is Aki Hayakawa, a devil hunter whose family was killed by the immensely powerful Gun Devil. He's willing to do anything to kill the Gun Devil for revenge. Next is Power, a fiend who lived an extremely difficult life with her only companion being her cat, Meowie. Finally, Denji, the titular Chainsaw Man who grew up in poverty. He made a deal with the Chainsaw Devil that in exchange for the power of Chainsaw Man, Denji would live a happy life. Along the way, he meets an interesting character. Makima is the leader of the Devil Hunters. She's extremely powerful, being shown to kill whoever she wants as long as she has a martyr, and even being able to direct her injuries to others, as long as there's a spare person besides her attacker nearby. One characteristic she holds is the immense ability to convince people, almost as if she's able to control them. She grooms the 17-year-old Denji, with promises of whatever he wants to do with her, just as long as he risks his life to kill the Gun Devil. We even see later on that Aki is in love with Makima, however, he doesn't even know why. Finally, we see that she convinced the Angel Devil as a young boy to kill everyone in his village, and somehow he doesn't even remember the event. Throughout the story, Makima has a very robotic nature, almost always having a very neutral smile and never blinking. It could sometimes be off-putting with her, just because of how not human she feels. The suspicions of her villainy are finally confirmed when she takes Aki, turns him into the Gun Devil, and forces him to fight Denji. What follows is a tear-jerking scene of Denji not wanting to kill Aki. Meanwhile, Aki's conscience sees the situation as a snowball fight. The horrific juxtaposition to the young Aki playing with his friend and the real-life Gun Devil massacring hundreds is devastating. Denji realizes he has to do what must be done, and eventually, he does the only thing he could have from the start: kill Aki. This takes a heavy toll on him, and at his lowest he agrees to go to Makima's house. Despite the immense amount of dogs, everything is seemingly normal, and Makima makes a point of telling Denji that free will is something that only leads to pain, and so Denji requests to have Makima always tell him what to do. Makima obliges. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door. Makima explains the situation, that Power was outside the door, and she was going to kill her once Denji opened the door. After some persuasion from Makima, Denji ends up opening the door, despite what he just heard.
Oh?
Denji, traumatized from what he just saw, walks back inside with Makima, and with a horrified expression on his face, asks if what he just saw was real. And Makima finally breaks. The entire series we've seen Makima never show intense emotion. Even when she cries, it's very subtle and possibly even faked. Almost everything she ever did was to produce the best possible reaction from the person near her. But this, such genuine laughter, is terrifying. Makima finally can't take it anymore and tells Denji her plan. What she had to do was break the Chainsaw Devil's contract with Denji, so she had to make his life miserable. This was a daunting task, however, because Denji was happy even in poverty. So how could she break him so much that he would never live a normal life? Simple. Give him everything. Good food, a family that loves him, and anything he could ask for. And then, take it all away. She would force him to kill Aki in Power, giving him the most traumatizing experiences of his life. After these events, there would be no one left who loves him, and with that contract now severed, she could obtain the power of the Chainsaw Devil. Later on, we see another scene like this where Makima begins to smoke, something traditionally thought to be very unattractive when done by women in Japan. Makima clearly no longer cares. She no longer has to put up that facade. She no longer has to be perceived as something other than she is. Upon Denji's contract being severed, the Chainsaw Devil ends up taking over his body, and upon him being released, a calamity begins. Makima uses her immense power to constantly try to kill Chainsaw Man. However, he remains to defend the citizens. The only problem with this is that a devil's power is based on fear, and since the citizens are no longer scared of him, he begins to weaken. But despite all that, he continues to save others. Eventually, Denji regains control over his Chainsaw Man power and agrees to meet up with Makima. Makima is very obviously upset, calling Denji's Chainsaw Man weak and disagreeable. This may be a mistranslation of disgraceful. Makima calls out Denji for not being nearly as strong as the real Chainsaw Man, and she seems disgusted to even be around him, a complete juxtaposition to earlier scenes where she was seemingly head over heels for him. So Makima wins, She rips out the heart of Denji and he no longer has the power of Chainsaw Man? He just becomes his regular self and dies right there? Well, Makima made one fatal error, underestimating the power of Denji's regular self. Right when Makima is ready to eat Chainsaw Man, a body begins to emerge from the pile around them. Denji, in his normal body, slices open Makima. The chainsaw was infused with the dead power's blood, meaning Makima can't immediately heal. The truth is, what she was fighting, calling detestable and insulting, wasn't Denji. It was Chainsaw Man. Makima had a twisted view of what Chainsaw Man believed in. However, this makes it clear that the Chainsaw Devil's views lined up with Denji's. While she thought that he was disgracing the name of Chainsaw Man, in reality, she was. But a plot hole remains. How did Makima not notice that Denji was hiding amongst the dead bodies? How did she not realize that the Chainsaw Man in front of her was not Denji? How did someone as powerful as Makima not realize something like this? Well, it's because she can't actually tell humans apart. Makima considers herself so far above humans she can't tell the difference between them. A good analogy is like dogs. You often can't tell the same breed of dog apart. And so Makima identifies people by smell, not by appearance. She remembers the smell of Chainsaw Man that emanated from Denji. However, she never even processed the actual smell of Denji. She never remotely cared for Denji. All she cared about was the Chainsaw Devil inside of him, which is extremely sad. She couldn't smell Denji coming because she doesn't know what he smells like, and she couldn't tell he wasn't Chainsaw Man because she only knew the smell of Chainsaw Man, not of Denji's Chainsaw Man, if that makes sense. But even sadder, after all that, after Makima forced Denji to kill Aki and lead to the death of power, after it was revealed that she never actually loved him and wasn't even remotely interested, even after she groomed him, Denji still can't hate her. He can't hate her because she's all he has left. Like I previously said, with Aki and Power dead, there was nobody who loved Denji, so he's holding on to the fact that, even faked, Makima showed Denji affection. So, how did Denji kill the unkillable? Well, Denji proceeds to cook and eat Makima. While yes, it is disgusting, it works, and Makima is vanquished. But not too much later, a familiar face pops up. A little girl who looks very similar to Makima appears, and Denji begins freaking out. However, this isn't Makima. This is a girl named Nayuta. Nayuta has the control devil that Makima had. However, it's clear that she isn't evil. This ability isn't what made Makima evil, it was a lack of a good environment. And so Nayuta is given to Denji to make sure that she doesn't turn out how Makima did. This is when it's finally revealed to us that the will of the control devil is to have someone that they love. And it turns out that Makima wasn't trying to consume Chainsaw Man to become more powerful. She just wanted to live with someone that she loved, someone of almost equivalent power to her. She was willing to do whatever she could to live on a world with Chainsaw Man. But instead of that, the control devil ended up just living with the normal Denji in the form of Nayuta. The control devil isn't inherently evil, it's based on nurture. Makima wasn't destined for evil, but she still chose the most brutal path possible to obtain what she wanted. And with Nayuta finally in his life, Denji no longer needs to love Makima. He no longer needs to hold on to those feelings because he's finally found a replacement for her. Someone that he loves and loves him back. Nayuta is a replacement for Makima, both physically and spiritually for Denji. And with her alive and Makima finally vanquished, Denji can go back to living the normal life he promised Chainsaw Man. And that is how from the beginning, Chainsaw Man created the perfect villain. Thank you for watching.